Hello, Mount Hebron friends. I'm going to be doing a series of devotionals for November on the book of Ruth. There is perhaps no one in the Bible who understands grief more than Naomi does. She is the matriarch of Ruth's family. She marries Elimelech. They live in Bethlehem, a town we know and that is very special to us. However, there's famine in the land. And Naomi and Elimelech have a decision to make. So they decide to take their sons, Mahlon and Chilion, and move to Moab where they can find food. And indeed, they begin their life there and everything is good until Elimelech dies, which devastates Naomi. Her sons marry and have wives, but then her sons die too, Mahlon and Chilion. And Naomi is left with none of her family around her anymore. Her daughters-in-law are there, yes, but they haven't been part of the family long, and she longs for them to be able to continue their lives well. So she urges them to go back to their families and to marry again. Now, Orpah does that. Ruth, however, does not want to leave Naomi alone. She understands the depth of loss that Naomi has endured. And Ruth chooses to stay. She commits to Naomi. And together, they return to Naomi's hometown of Bethlehem. Naomi's looking for comfort anywhere she can find it. And it's a smart move. Going home brings back friendships, brings back memories, brings back a lot of good things for Naomi. Except that when she arrives, that's not how it feels. She reintroduces herself to her friends, to her distant family as Mara, meaning bitter. She says the Lord has dealt bitterly with her. Not only has she lost her husband and her identity as a wife, her children, her sons, and her identity as a mother, but she's lost a good bit of her relationship with God. She does not believe that she finds favor with God anymore. She thinks God has punished her. And so when she returns to a land that was formerly without food, she doesn't even notice the fields of barley. But at least she's finally talking. She's talking about the grief and pain that have stacked up through all these years, the losses she's endured. She's getting it out. And that's a good step. Naomi's story gives us pause to think about our story as well. We have an individual story, and we've endured losses also. What has Naomi's story surfaced in you? What losses have you experienced in your life? Have they caused a loss of identity for you? Do you, like Naomi, think that God has treated you bitterly? Have you lost some of that relationship with God because of the things that have happened for you? And how and where are you talking about it? I also want to ask a few of these questions in relationship to the church. For Mount Hebron PC has gone through quite a bit of change in its 60 years. The identity of the church has changed, and there have been losses through the years. One of the losses I hear from many of you now is the loss of your youth and children's programs that had been so vibrant and so important to the life of this congregation. What losses would you identify? Are those some of them? What others would you add? What grief has this church gone through to be sitting here in 2021? What kinds of things have changed? It's important that we start talking about these griefs, these losses, because if we don't, they can paralyze us where we are. We can begin to believe that we have lost favor with God, that God is not going to bless us or respond to us or be with us, when actually the opposite is true. God is always with us. But when we are in grief and loss, we are blinded to that, just the way that Naomi was blind to the restoration of food to her land and the barley harvest. She was blinded to the goodness of her friends and distant family welcoming her home. She couldn't see it yet because she was mired in her grief and loss. How can we begin talking about those things? Stay tuned for the guided meditation later this week and for this next Sunday's congregational gathering, at which point I'll ask us all to tell stories about the things that were part of our identity as a church at one time, and yet which we have lost now.